Hi everyone, today I'll be showing you all the steps and all of the tips and tricks on how to paint your nails perfectly and how to help your manicure last. I did a similar, super old, not as good video like 5 years ago, and I thought that I should do a better one that has voiceover and more explanations. Although the older one is really old, I still think that it's pretty good, but this one's better. Now let's get started. The first step/tip number 1 is the absolutely most important one, and it's cuticle care. I know it may sound dumb and unrelated to the video, but whether you're using regular nail polish or gel, the thing that defines a good professional application is how it looks near the cuticle. It needs to be as close as possible to the cuticle, it has to have the same shape as the cuticle, it has to have a smooth curved line near the cuticle, and it has to be easy to clean up. You can't achieve any of those things if you don't push back and remove your cuticles. In these two photos, you can see my thumbs application and cleanup before I started to take care of my cuticles and a few weeks after I started. You can see the huge difference and how it improved the application in like 2 billion%. When I started taking care of my cuticles on my left hand, I didn't do anything with my right hand because I didn't film it and took pictures of it, so I didn't really care about it. And when I did my previous video, I did started taking care of them, and you can see here the transformation. Each photo is a weekish apart from the previous one, and you can see that after just a few weeks, there's a huge difference. The cuticles aren't attached to the nail plate and they are soft and almost gone. I don't cut my cuticles because I don't think that it's necessary with my cuticles, but of course you can if you want to. Just make sure that you are super careful, because if you get it wrong you can hurt yourself and it can cause infections. The way that I remove my cuticles is just using the cuticle remover by Sally Hansen. I've been using it for years, but you can use any cuticle remover that you want. The way to use it is applying a little bit of product on your cuticle area. Don't use too much because it's wasteful and unnecessary. Let it sit for around 15 seconds and then push and scrape the cuticles really gently. You don't want to hurt yourself. This is pretty much what I do to take care of my cuticles, but if you want a more detailed video on my nail care routine, watch this video. You can use any cuticle pusher that you want. You can use plastic, metal, or an orange wood stick. Just pick whatever you feel is best for you. After you're done, wash your hands, and that's pretty much it. You'll need to repeat this about once a week. Now, after that you have perfect cuticles, let's move on to the next step. Next is step/tip number 2, having clean nails. Before you paint your nails, you need to make sure that there isn't any leftover polish from the previous manicure you had. Use only acetone-free nail polish remover since acetone dries your skin. Next is step/tip number 3, base coat. This is an important step since base coat binds the polish better to the nail and helps it last longer. Also, it damages your nails less than applying the nail polish directly on your nails, and some base coat actually prevents staining, which is important. I've tried so many base coats, and this is the only one that actually prevented staining. I love it. Next is step/tip number 4, the position of your hand while painting. There are 3 positions that I came up with that I've used. Position number 1, hand on the table facing you. Position number 2, hand on the table not facing you. And position number 3, hand in the air facing you while holding one finger. I've used each one in the exact same order, from when I was a beginner that I placed my hand facing me, to when I had more experience that it didn't face me, to now when it's just in the air. You should definitely use whatever method is easier and works best for you. I just find the third one the best for me right now. Next is step/tip number 5, nail polish brush type. Painting your nails perfectly is mostly about how you paint, but the brush of the nail polish that you're using is also important. If the brush is too long, short, thick, thin, curved, or flat, it affects the application, especially if you're not good at it. I had a super long, detailed explanation about this in my old video, so you can watch that if you'd like, but I'm gonna keep it short here. There are regular, most common brushes like OPI, where they are flat and thin with a flat end. The application with it is easy, but with the cuticle area, it's hard to get a nice perfect curve. There are really big, short, flat brushes with a flat end that could almost cover your entire nail with one stroke, and that's the problem because if it has a flat end, you need more than one stroke to create a curved cuticle line, but if it had a curved end, then it would be absolutely perfect. Except it's not that easy to paint with short brushes. There are really long, thin, rounded brushes with a super small end, which makes it really hard to apply, and it's really annoying to use. This is one of Essie's brushes, and the other Essie brush is almost perfect. It's a bit too thick with an almost curved end, and it's a shame that the end isn't cut very well, and the thickness is also an issue. The absolute perfect brush is a brush that is flat and thin, a bit wide, with a perfect rounded end. I've only found this brush in Jade Polishes. I think that it's an Israeli company, but I'm not sure. They are really cheap compared to other polishes. Amazing quality, best brush ever, and it's reachable here in Israel. The reason that this is the best brush in the world is that the end of the brush is shaped exactly as a cuticle. That means that you'll get it perfect like 99% of the time. If you're a beginner, this is the perfect brush for you. Next is step/tip number 6, the thickness of a coat of polish. When you paint your nails, you don't want the coat of polish to be too thick or too thin. If it's too thin, the polish won't be opaque enough and you will just drag it in the coat underneath it and ruin the entire thing. If it's too thick, it will smudge and it will take forever to dry. So if you want the polish to be not too thin and not too thick, it moves us to the next step/tip number 7, the amount of polish on the brush. Don't listen to what anyone says because there isn't one perfect amount of polish that you need on your brush. The amount of polish that you'll need on your brush depends on the length of your nail, nothing else. There will be sometimes that you'll need this much if you have super long nails, and there will be sometimes you'll need this much if you have super short nails. But the most classic way to medium nails is to take out the brush while scraping one side entirely from polish, then just dab a tiny bit of polish from the tip on the neck of the bottle, and it should look pretty much like that. And next is step/tip that I'm guessing is why you're here for, which is number 8, application. Take the brush and place it with a polish like 2 millimeters below the cuticle. Next, drag the brush upwards towards the cuticle as close as possible without touching the cuticle. Then drag the brush all the way down to the tip of your nail. Next, take the brush onto one side and then drag the brush according to the shape of your cuticle without touching the skin all the way down. Do the same thing on the other side. Then go over the entire nail to smooth the application and finish off with sealing the tip. Of course that this brush makes it a million times easier, but it's the same method with every brush, just a bit trickier with the cuticle. But of course, if your application isn't the best, you can always fix it, which moves us to next step/tip number 9, cleanup. For cleanup, you can use any type of brush as long as it's flat and not thick. You can use one with a rounded tip or a flat tip or an angled one. Use whatever you like. I've used all of them and I'm currently using a rounded one. To clean up, take the brush and dip it into acetone-free nail polish remover and just drag it near the cuticle or anywhere that needs fixing. Do it very gently, you don't want to ruin the entire manicure. I didn't have really anything to fix here because it came out weirdly perfect. I also wanted to show you that you can also clean up if you suck at painting your nails because no one is perfect and we all mess up sometimes and flat our cuticles. And I also wanted to show you this with a polish that stains the cuticle area. Now quickly before it dries, take the tip of an orange wood stick and then try to remove everything underneath the cuticle. Do it carefully without ruining the application. After it dried completely, clean everything up and after a few strokes, clean the brush and then add more nail polish remover. I'm just gonna speed it up here because it took about 5 minutes and I don't think you want to sit here for 5 minutes watching me clean up my cuticles. Go in with the orange wood stick again under the cuticles. And here are the before and after. Isn't it amazing? The whole application looks great, but since, as I said before, I wanted to show you this with a dark color, it stained my cuticles, and of course I'm not surprised. Just so you know, the whole cleanup thing is only possible perfectly if you take care of your cuticles. If your cuticles are dry and stuck on the nail plate, it won't work, especially with staining colors like this. Next is step/tip number 10, painting with your non-dominant hand. I already posted a video on how to do nail art designs with your non-dominant hand, and it's basically the same principle. What you need to do is lean on the entire side of your hand, the pinky and the entire side, so you'll have balance. Paint your nails in the same method as before and look how perfect it is. And lastly, the final step/tip, number 11, top coat. If you don't apply top coat, your nails will never ever be completely dry. No matter how many days have passed, with the nails without top coat, you can always get cracks and scratches, as you can see here. And with the top coat, is it completely sealed and most likely won't get ruined. But of course, it's not like 100% sure, because there are good top coats and there are bad top coats. When you apply top coat, you need to make sure that you glide the brush lightly on the nail with a generous amount of top coat. If you don't use a generous amount, it will cause the brush to drag the polish underneath it and ruin the design as shown. Also, I have no idea how other nail artists apply top coat so perfectly and that it doesn't ruin the polish. If you don't cover all of the edges, it will create these sort of cracks that get bigger and bigger as the days pass. When I do it, as you've seen in all of my videos, I apply it all over the nail and the cuticles and everything, so it will cover all of the edges completely. And then I just clean it up and it is perfect. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. I loved making this video and all these types of videos, and I really hope that you guys like it. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this and give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.